it's convoluted. It's cryptic, and it's hard to understand. Now, under common law, the presumption is that you have rights, unless you voluntarily waive them. All of your rights are protected except the ones you give up. Under the Uniform Commercial Code, the opposite is true. Under the Uniform Commercial Code, it is assumed that you have no rights unless you explicitly reserve them. Say, oh, by the way, I've got all my constitutional rights. Oh, by the way, I have freedom of speech. Now, how do you do that? If you are in a Uniform Commercial Code contract, you need to go to Section 1, Clause 207, which is defined on page 19. UCC 1-207, performance or acceptance under reservation of rights. A party who with explicit reservation of rights performs or promises performance or assents to performance in a manner demanded or offered by the other party does not thereby prejudice the rights reserved. Such words as without prejudice or under protest or the like are sufficient. So you just have to say out loud or in writing that you are reserving your rights. Now, why do they have to do that? They have to do that because any body of law, in order to be valid, must have two items: remedy and recourse. Remedy means that you are able to get out of trouble once you get into trouble. So, if you're going to put me in jail, if I broke something, I've got to have some way I can fix it. Anybody hear of debtor's prison? Debtor's prison, you owe me money. Well, I'm going to put you in jail until you pay me my money back. You're in jail. How are you going to go out and get any money? Well, that's your problem. Kind of a catch-22, isn't it? And so you just had all the prisons just filling up with all these people who couldn't pay their debt, which is now completely and totally illegal. Now, under... the other option, the other thing that law must have is recourse. You have to have some way to stay out of trouble in the first place. It's like, okay, you just tell me what I have to do so I don't get put in jail overnight in the first place. And that's recourse. And that's what UCC 1-207 is. They've got it all the rules are set up so they win the game. Mostly because we didn't tell you the rules. Is the UCC unconstitutional? No. Is it specified by the Constitution? No. It makes it extra constitutional. It is out there in addition to the Constitution. Do you have a right to sign contracts under the UCC? Yes, your right to contract is unlimited. You can sign any contract you want. You just have to know that you've done it. And they're not telling you. Now, what generally happens under the UCC is something called notice and grace. I have to inform you of what's going on, and I have to give you some time period for you to respond. So I send you a letter. Dear Joe, you owe me $1,000. Love, Mike. And I mail you this letter. You go, $1,000? I don't even know Mike. And you just wrinkle it up and you throw it in the garbage can. You figure this is just, like some hoax. Well, in my letter, it says, please pay me within 30 days. Please respond in 30 days. And if you just wrinkle it up and throw it in the garbage can, I show up 31 days later with the sheriff. And the sheriff will legally take the $1,000 from you. I gave you notice. I told you that you owed me $1,000. I gave you a grace period. I gave you 30 days to respond. Well, you didn't respond, so it must have been true. So your response is always, always respond. If I send you a bill for $1,000, sit down at the typewriter, the computer, mail it back going, what? I challenge that. What you can do is refuse without dishonor. You say, I don't owe you anything. Now whose job is it to prove that I gave you some sort of service? It's my job. That's what the IRS does. The IRS sends you a notice. They give you 10 days to respond. If you don't respond, you must be guilty. Don't be afraid of the IRS. Just write them a letter back within the first 10 days. Challenge their authority. Say, no, I don't owe you this money. Prove it. Oh, well, gosh, that's going to be a heck of a lot harder. Gosh, if you want us to prove it, then we're not going to be able to collect the taxes. Good.
Doesn't that more often cause of, okay, we need to audit you to prove it? And that's my fear.
What's your Fifth Amendment right? Go ahead, audit. I've got a Fourth Amendment right to be secure in my person's, house's, papers, and effects, and a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate myself. I've got my, checkbook and stuff. I don't have to give it to you. I don't even have to sign my 1040 form. If I sign it under penalty of perjury, must be true. Well, if I don't sign it, let me see. I don't have to give you, the government, anything that you can use to put me in jail. If I sign my 1040 form and give it to you, can you use that to put me in jail? Yes. Then I don't have to sign it. If you show me, Judge, how I can sign that without giving up my Fifth Amendment rights, then I'll sign it. But they can't do that. Bill Conklin has a website, and he did that, and the judge says, I cannot rule on your case. He didn't say you have a lousy argument. He just said, I can't rule on your case, because if I do, it's going to completely flip, the whole economic system. Oh, so my rights are going to be violated because it's going to be embarrassing for you? That's what's going to be happening in a couple weeks when we, bring the IRS. We are doing an IRS audit. Bring in your paperwork. You show us where the law says we've got to pay this cash. Now, I think the IRS is on their way out. The IRS, by its own statistics, say that 1 out of 5 people does not pay taxes. We've stopped volunteering. It's about time. 98%? And it took us a while to figure it out.
Is that 1 in 5 that should, or 1 in 5 period, including kids and everybody?
I think I don't know the exact statistics. I think it is 1 out of 5 people that the IRS claims should be. Okay? Because if you go by my statistics, everybody who's paying taxes shouldn't be. So I think the IRS is out to lunch. You don't have to worry about the IRS anymore. What you do have to worry about is what they're going to replace it with. National sales tax? Oh, that's better. We got rid of the lion, and we got the tiger. Well, that's stupid. Which Menendez brother do you want to live with? We've got to make sure that they get rid of the IRS and that they do not institute a national sales tax, because the national sales tax is only 10%. No, 11%. I'm sorry, 12%, 20, 15, pretty soon, before you know it, it's going to be 50.
Again.
As far as I'm concerned, the only flat tax that I'm in favor of is a flat tax which is 0. So how are we going to operate the United States without an income tax? I don't know. How did we do it before the IRS? July 4th, we got the Declaration of Independence. July 5th, we got the IRS. I don't think so. When did the IRS happen?
1943, they started taking it out of our checks.
Well, they started taking it out of our checks, but the IRS came into existence in 1913. So between 1776 and 1913, there was no income tax. There was no inflation. Go